Star Wars Jedi Survivor is one of mine and many others' most hyped Star Wars game coming in the near future. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order sequel is shaping up to have a lot of potential just based off of the cinematic trailer alone, and the hype continues to build as you look at the details that have been revealed elsewhere so far. With cloning involved with this next story, I think many of us are really excited to see what will come out of this game. One thing people are heavily anticipating are cameos in this next game, like how we had Vader at the end of the last game. In this video, I'll be going over possible characters and cameos we could see in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I will explain how likely or unlikely I think these characters are to appear in this upcoming game, as well as how they could possibly fit into the story. If you enjoy this content, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe to stay up to date with more Star Wars games just like this one, and let's get right into this video. How this video will work is we will start with characters that are probably most likely, and end the video with characters who are probably least likely in my opinion. It's a given that Cal, Kestis, BD1, and that Utapauan are going to be in the game, and Seer Junda, Grease Drydas, and Night Sister Marin are probably in the game, so I won't really talk about them too much except for right now. That being said, I think the most likely character we could see in this game that isn't obvious is Eno Cordova. Cordova was Seer's master, and BD has so many holograms of him in his memory banks, and even though it looks like we're on a completely different quest this time around, I feel like we could learn so much more about him and his relationship with Seer and flashbacks, or maybe a hologram will have some information about a mission. In some way or another, I do think he will be coming back, maybe in a smaller way, not as big as he was in the first game, but I would be surprised if he wasn't returning in this next one. I think Eno Cordova is one character that I can almost guarantee will be in the game, along with the Ninth Sister Inquisitor. The Ninth Sister Inquisitor was a mini-boss in the first Fallen Order game, and we have no idea what happens to her once we kick her ass. Revenge is the way of the dark side, and I would be surprised if she doesn't come back as another side mission or a mini-boss to exact her revenge on Cal Kestis. I'm not sure if she would still be an Inquisitor or if she would go rogue, but they definitely will have a rematch at some point in my opinion. They set it up perfectly in the last game, and I think it might pay off in this game. If it doesn't pay off in this game, I definitely think she will come back in the end of the trilogy. Along with Cordova and the Ninth Sister, I would be shocked if Saw Gerrera doesn't come back. He and Cal had a great dynamic when they rescued Tarful, and I think it would be a great way for him to be introduced into the Rebel Alliance. Saw's life after Bad Batch and before Rogue One is left wide open for storytelling for Respawn's writers, so I definitely think they could capitalize on this opportunity. If Saw doesn't appear, then I think his partisans should, at the very least, maybe they go on another heist to retrieve Cal's lightsaber or something along those lines, but at the end of the day, I think Saw will at least be in the game through a hologram at least, but hopefully he's a companion in a mission or two against the Empire. Additionally, I could see Mon Mothma and or Bail Organa make an appearance as part of some Rebel high command, and perhaps reach out to Cal near the end of the game to have some involvement with the Rebels in the third game of the trilogy. I am putting these two characters together as one entry since, in my opinion, they're interchangeable in this instance, and they are often seen together. They could use just one or maybe even both of these characters very easily if they wanted to, and it does seem like Disney Star Wars is utilizing these Rebel characters more and more since they acquired the license. Mon Mothma and Bail were both in Rebels and Rogue One. Bail was in Kenobi, and Mon Mothma will be in Andor. I could easily see them being utilized again here, and hope they flesh out their stories even more. Now, from here on out, none of these characters I can say I'm confident in showing up. There are a lot of cool villains and protagonists that could be involved with the future of this franchise, so it was a little difficult to pick some characters that would actually make sense, but this entry on the list was actually leaked to be in the game by a very credible source, Bespin Bulletin. This makes me think that it's very possible that this leak is true, and it would line up with the story very well. Maul apparently could have something to do with the story of Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I'm not sure if he will be the main villain since it looks like the Empire is dealing with cloning. As far as we know, Maul never did any dealings with the Empire or attempted cloning in any way, so he probably would be a side plot like Terran Malicos was in the first game, but I assume since he's a bigger character that they'd want to include him in the game more than they had Terran Malicos in the last game, but we'll just have to wait and see. Just keep in mind that this rumor isn't confirmation, and Bespin Bulletin made sure to communicate that in this leak as well. Another character that seems to be in the minds of the entire community right now is Obi-Wan Kenobi. He is probably a little less likely than Maul is at the moment, but I wouldn't be shocked to see him in this game at all, voiced by James Arnold Taylor. In case you forgot, Obi-Wan is actually in a hologram in the first Jedi game, so perhaps this was foreshadowing?
This is Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. I regret to report that both our Jedi Order and the Republic have fallen.
I'm honestly not too sure how he would fit into the story. Perhaps we would see this hologram come into play again, or maybe Cal comes looking for Kenobi for guidance if Seer dies at some point. Again, I'm really not too sure how Kenobi would play into all of this, but there's a lot of talk about Cal and Obi-Wan meeting since Kenobi and Survivor take place at the same time. I suppose it's not too far-fetched, and I don't think anyone would complain about seeing more Obi-Wan unless maybe you're Vader, or Maul, or Grievous, or Palpatine. You know what? Forget it. We'll just have to wait and see if he's in the game. Now we're in the realm of characters that I've seen some people say could be in the game, or I think will show up, and Palpatine is one of those characters. Now, I don't think Papa Palps will have a big role in the story at this point. I think Palpatine could speak to Cal if he's captured, or the main villain through a hologram near the end of the game. He could possibly be the main enemy of the third game, or maybe we discovered that the clone we see in the tank here is Rey's father, which is a clone of Palpatine, of course. That would tie him very well into the story and make the sequels kind of make more sense, I guess, which is kind of what it seems like they're trying to do with Mandalorian, but I'm not sure if it's entirely likely since it looks like this character in the Bacta and this character with the red blade are the same person. Now, Vader was obviously in the first game, and I could easily see him coming back after his reception after that final mission. Respawn used him correctly by all means, and there's a lot of ways that he could come into the story. If they play their cards right, Vader could be a serious threat throughout the entire game, but I don't think Vader will be a big part of the story, if at all. I feel like there's a lot going on just based off of what little we know and what I've speculated in this video so far, and I'm not sure if there's more that they can do with Vader besides a cameo. Maybe he could talk to Palpatine on a hologram or speak to the Utapawan senator in a cutscene, but I'm not really sure how likely his return will be in a major way. These last two characters are sort of absurd, and I don't think they will show up at all, but I just want to address some people's speculation and propose my own theory. Now, I haven't seen a lot of people talk about him being in the game specifically, but he's more likely than our last option in my opinion. Rahm Kota was a Jedi in the Force Unleashed games and has been canonized because of Kenobi. He was one of the Jedi who wrote their names on the wall of the path, and if Cal needs a new mentor since the Mantis team seems to be absent from the trailers, I guess he could be an option. Again, I don't think this is very likely, and I could see Kenobi filling this spot in the story very easily, but I just want to address the Force Unleashed cameo speculations. Rahm Kota is probably my favorite non-canon Jedi, so I would absolutely love to see it if he was in the game, but I just don't think we're ever going to see this character ever again. In case you are unaware who this is, he is a Jedi who refused to use clones and instead raised his own militia for his forces in the Republic. You obviously avoided Order 66 because of this, and you fight him in the Force Unleashed 1. He is blinded by Starkiller in battle, but later becomes a rebel leader. Speaking of Starkiller, yes, I could see all of you saying that you think Starkiller is the one in the cloning tank, and I think that's just a little ridiculous that Respawn would take the lead character from another non-canon video game franchise and completely reboot him just for this. If we ever see Starkiller again, I think he could be what the Kaminoans were cloning at the end of Bad Batch. But I find that guess to be unlikely as well, and realistically, the Force Unleashed games are really contradict a lot of canon nowadays if you look at some of the details like the Battle of Kamino, and I don't know if Starkiller will ever come back, and if he does, I don't think this guy is gonna be him. If you have any more theories about characters we could see in Star Wars Jedi Survivor, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. While you're also down there, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn the notification bell on to never miss an upload. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next video.